They're wholly owned by the government, and they're asking for even more money.
Right. One of the things we have to look at, number one, we never should have bailed out any banks. Never. We heard them say, the government told us, well, you know, if we don't bail them out, our economic infrastructure is going to crumble. I like to use this, this analogy. Our economic infrastructure is like a house with a big crack from an earthquake right down the center, and it just got hit by a tornado. It's coming down anyway.
Yeah.
Now, what are you going to do with that house? If you're the person that lives there, are you going to grab a couple beams and try to prop it up? Or are you going to move to somewhere safer and build a new house, a solid house on a solid foundation?
No, we're going to rebuild New Orleans, 18 feet underwater.
Well, that's the problem. We as a nation have got to hold the government accountable. People have to realize, the people of this country have to realize that they have the power to change the activities of our government.
Absolutely, and we've done that through several instances. Most recently, the most recent example of that is the Vietnam War, where the people went to the street and said, we demand change, we demand this change. And it took a lot longer than what people wanted, but the policy was stated. You're right, public, we're going to get out of Vietnam.
Right.
And then it was just doing the details on how we get out.
Right, but we have to act more swiftly.
Yeah, we do.
But the other part is the manufactured divisions in this country, they're there for a reason, and that's to keep the public from unifying. That's why we have the unorganized, unorthodox Occupy of whatever, Occupy of Wall Street, Occupy of Detroit, Connecticut, Hartford, all of these places. It's because people are not well informed and people are not united. One of the things that I've brought out so many times is that these manufactured divisions have been placed there so that they can render the public manageable. And they are manageable. No matter how much chaos you see, you still have government officials that are doing what they want to do. You're seeing the global elite, international conglomerates, doing as they please. They're not affected. But what we have to realize that the people on Main Street are the ones that are affected, those people that are divided.
Well, yeah, and you know, the leadership of our country and big business realizes that. It's a lot easier to manage sheep that are confused.
Right.
Than I don't know. Okay, I can lose that analogy. I think that one through. But I mean, those of us who are informed, we know what's going on. We're out here doing these kind of things,
right?
Trying to speak out. Yeah, hey, we don't know how many people we really reach with this show, but those who catch it, hopefully something resonates with them, and they can take that and then go do more research and become informed. And talking about becoming informed, we'd like to think that we do that through our education. And I know that as a candidate, you've got some issues with how we're delivering education right now, and you have some ideas on how we can make it better.
I do, and I really want to follow up on one of the things I said in another segment of your program when I stated that I think teachers should have more money. It has to be realized that we're taking into account all of their incentives, health care, making sure that they have all the supplies that they need so they're not paying for them out of their own pocket. We need to be, again, complementary to their efforts as teachers. So when we're doing this, we want to make sure that there's no reason for the unions to come into play. If there's no reason for the union to argue with us, then the teachers are going to focus more on their education or that educational experience of our students than they are about fighting for their benefits, fighting for their rights. Now, I'm not saying that we need to pay them much more or anything of that nature. What I am saying is that we need to make sure that they're taken care of. We need to make sure that they have the basic, those health care packages that are equal, if not surpassing, those of the federal government, those employees of the federal government.
Well, I would say that here in Michigan, we have state employees, and teachers are managed under local school districts. However, we're paying with them with state taxes. I had a proposal a few years ago where what I wanted to do was take all the teachers, put them into the state employee benefit plans, the same ones.
Right.
That means that if you had 15 years in or more, and maybe you just take, if you're in the system now, you get the same pension, you get the same health care, and but if you're a new teacher, whatever, you're going to get some reductions. Like state employees did 15 years ago. We used to have a pension program where you work 30 years, you get half pay. Now, if you're a state employee, you get a 401k plan.
Right.
Defined contributions, so the state knows what's going to pay out. And it's been very beneficial for the books and for the financial health of Michigan.
Right.
A lot of pushback because what we've allowed here, don't have a problem with teachers bargaining for benefits and stuff, but I don't think that they should be able to do what they've been able to do here in Michigan, which is bargain for where they get those benefits.
Right.
Where do they want to get those benefits? From their own union house.
Right.
Here in Michigan, they have a health insurance program, which they actually buy from Blue Cross Blue Shield, mark it up 30%, and then the school district, they have to pay for it.
Well, again, like
and
I
those
said,
dollars went to, a lot of those dollars would then fund political campaigns for Democrats.
And this is one of the biggest issues I have with unions, that they are not open to their membership so that they can support whatever candidate they want. I believe that there are teachers, I know teachers that want to support conservative candidates.
Absolutely.
So what they need to be able to do through a union, and again, I just think that we can negate the need for unions if we look at sort of a package like you had proposed. But if we're going to have unions, when unions first started out, they were great because they were vying for those rates that were acceptable or should have been acceptable. Nowadays, they've lost their focus.
Well, it was actually started out health and safety issues.
Right.
Not so much wages. I mean, once they got health and safety issues, yeah, and some of it was wages too. But remember Ford, when you know, he was paying people $5 a day, where people weren't making $5 a week.
Right.
You know, so you know, businesses out there will pay for talent.
Right, but we have to look at if we can negate that need for the unions, it's going to be a lot better for us. It's going to be less cost consuming for us as well. But the unions have to be able to say, hey, you know what? You have your choice. If you want the dues that you pay to go to benefiting a conservative candidate, it's open to you. If you want the dues that you are paying to benefit a liberal candidate, it's open to you. They have to be fair. And right now, that's not what they are. That's why they get so much pushback from the other side. And I don't agree with unions on that.
No, I don't either. I think that you poll your members and, you know, you find out that, and I don't care if it's strictly, you know, right now we know that about 40% of the teachers are conservatives.
Right.
Or identify right of center.
Right.
So you put 40% aside, let the conservative pack of the union dole out the money, the liberal pack, and as much as we'd like to think there's a middle of a road, at the end of the day, they scatter into one side or the other.
Right.
Because there's never a moderate candidate, because moderation does not invite enthusiasm.
Correct. Right.
So I like that idea. I think that it would be good to give the empowerment back to the union people.
Correct.
And I think you'd have a lot less strife over what's going on.
You're right, and that's one of that would also benefit again our students, our children, because you know we're not going to have such an issue in the educational academia curriculum with our students. Then teachers are going to be able to focus more on the education experience of our students instead of fighting for those benefits or those rights.
Yeah, because if they're worried about that system,
well,
then they're going to be focused on that instead of teaching our kids.
Well, that's what's been said so often today. Teachers are not worried about. They're not worried about what's going on in the classroom. They're worried about what's going on in their wallets and in their situation, their financial situations.
Yeah, in the things that I do, I get to meet with union people and union officials sometimes, and we were having a discussion, and we both, not both, I think there's about 6 of us sitting around the table, we came up with this conclusion. One of the problems we have right now in Michigan is because we are hurting so much. Unemployment is so high, and taxpayers seem to be overtaxed. They're looking wherever they go, and they're going, you know what? They make more than we do, and they got great benefits, and darn it, they shouldn't get any more than I got. Well, really what we should be thinking is they have great benefits and great wages. How do we bring everybody up? And that's what we used to talk about. How do we lift everybody up? You know, rising tide lifts all boats.
Right.
And we saw that, I really do believe, under Reagan, Bush, and Clinton, when he was forced to continue those policies with a Republican Congress. And we've lost sight of that. And now it's, let's bring everybody down. And we've got to get out of that mindset. You know, people are going, oh, you know, the state legislator, they make $87,000. And do you know the time a state legislator has to put in? It's 24/7. And you know how much is dumped on them?
Well,
I don't begrudge them a dime, and you may disagree with me, but we got to get over this wage envy.
Right, and I'm going to say this: when you agree to a rate, you agree to the rate. Let it go. Okay, that's what you agreed to. If you thought that it was a plausible rate for you then, it's still plausible for you. If it did not impede your standard of living, it's not doing it now. Well, I shouldn't say it's not doing it now because rates are going up so much. But at the time when these arguments started, it wasn't so bad. Okay, now, but let's look at not only our state, but I want to look at the federal level. That's what I want to look at, because our federal legislature, our legislators, the same as state, they vote on their pay increases, things of that nature, every year. And I don't know of a time when they voted not to give themselves a pay increase.
Oh, they have. Not often.
Not often.
Yeah.
It's very rare. But what I want to do is I want to look at what's going on with our other public servants. Let's look at our military, for instance. How often do they get a pay increase?
Whenever Congress votes on it.
Yeah. They don't get it very often.
Yeah.
And so I know this firsthand. And I know many of our veterans that are dealing with poverty right now. People in the military that are dealing with poverty right now. And our government is so fast to give themselves more money to say, oh, well, we can cut spending here and we can cut spending there within our Department of Defense, when we really need to be looking at taking care of those people that are fighting for this country, that are laying their lives on the line on a daily basis. And I know these people firsthand, and I talk to them often. And I'm seeing them suffer and have to worry about, now, dealing with the stress of a war environment is bad enough. But dealing with the stress of that environment and having to think about, wow, am I going to be able to pay my mortgage? Is my wife okay? Is my husband okay? Are my children okay back home? That is undue stress in that environment. And I really think we have to restructure. It says a lot about the country, the way you treat those people that are willing to shed their blood for your country.
Oh, and I agree. My son, when he was first recruited, they talked about WIC as being a benefit. They got away from that. They did get some increases and things like that, and they kind of got out of that. My son's now a recruiter 10 years later, and you know there's a force reduction going on right now. People are being kicked out of the Marines, Army, Air Force, whatever. As we go into peacetime mode, which I'm not sure we really are, but is being forced upon us, you know, then they're looking at cutting military pay and benefits. Right. How do you cut a military benefit at all? How do you cut pension?
You can't do
veterans hospitalization.
In good faith, you cannot do that.
I don't think we do enough now.
We don't. Our military veterans, I see homeless veterans. I see veterans not getting the health care they need.
And we're not talking about just Vietnam veterans. No. We're talking about Iraq